If your self-worth collapses the moment you stop achieving, you're not successful, you're dependent. Most people think they have a performance problem. They don't. They probably have an identity problem. And today we're going to talk about the cost of building your entire life on a foundation you can't hold on to. Before John D. Rockefeller became one of the richest men in history, he was just like many of us. Driven, ambitious, hungry, afraid to fall behind, desperate to prove something. He chased his achievement like oxygen. Every dollar, every deal, every win was another brick in the identity he was building. He believed, if I can achieve enough, I'll finally feel enough. But reality didn't agree. By age 33, he was a corporate giant and a personal disaster. He was losing weight, losing sleep, losing hair, losing peace, and losing himself. Not because he wasn't achieving, but because his achievements were the only thing holding him together. When performance is your foundation, even success feels like pressure. His body broke before his business did. Doctors told him he was dying. Pause and think about that. The man who had everything had no capacity to enjoy any of it. And this is where most people get it wrong. You see, Rockefeller didn't change his life when he made more money. He changed when he realized performance had become his identity, and it was killing him. When Rockefeller thought he was near death, he had something very few people ever experienced: a forced reset. He had to stop and ask himself a question most people avoid. What's the point of succeeding at things that don't make me whole? And that became the pivot. You see, the man the world knew as a ruthless businessman began rebuilding his life around purpose, stewardship, and character. He shifted from what can I get to what can I give? And ironically, that's when his real influence began. Now, you might not be running an oil empire, but you might be carrying the same weight. You might be achieving more, producing more, performing harder, impressing people, building a reputation while quietly becoming more anxious, more reactive, more exhausted, and more disconnected from the person you want to be. And here's the truth. Performance will take you far, but it can't take you home. It can win you applause, it can create opportunities, it can shape your reputation, it can even create wealth. But it can't give you identity, it can't give you peace, and it can't give you purpose. And when performance becomes identity, every setback becomes a crisis. Every mistake becomes a threat. Every slow season feels like failure, and every criticism feels personal. Because it's not your performance being evaluated, it becomes your worth. So let's break this down in a more concrete, structured way. Because performance-based identity sounds philosophical, but it shows up in very predictable, very practical patterns in your life. I want to give you a simple framework in how to break each one. Pillar 1, achievement as validation. If you constantly need to achieve something to feel okay, that's not ambition, that's dependence. This is when accomplishments feel like oxygen. You can't slow down. You secretly believe that rest means that you're falling behind. You fear disappointing others. You always need the next win to feel stable. Now, why is it dangerous? Your emotional state becomes tied to external circumstances you cannot control. So the simple shift is to move from validation to stewardship. Now ask yourself, what have I been entrusted with, and how do I care for it well? Not to impress people, but to honor what matters. Stewardship stabilizes you. Performance drains you. Pillar 2, comparison as direction. When performance drives identity, comparison becomes your compass. You start measuring yourself by who's further ahead of you, who bought the nicer house, who got promoted, who's making more, who looks more successful, who seems happy. But here is the problem. Comparison destroys clarity. It makes you chase lives you don't even want. So the shift is to realign to purpose. Ask yourself, what life am I actually called to build? Not the life that photographs well, but the life that aligns with your convictions. Purpose eliminates the noise. Pillar 3, productivity as identity. This is a big one for men. You start believing I am what I produce. So when you're productive, you feel valuable. When you're not, you feel anxious or ashamed. Symptoms may include you can't sit still, you feel guilty for resting, your brain never shuts off, you're overwhelmed but keep saying yes. You avoid vulnerability by staying busy. The shift, move from output to identity. Again, ask yourself, who am I becoming through the way I'm living? Your worth isn't the volume of what you do. It's in the integrity of how you do it. Pillar 4, image as protection. Performance identity is obsessed with being seen in a certain way. You curate yourself, you filter it, you manage perception like it's another full-time job. Why? Because reputation becomes your shield. You don't want people to see your fears, your insecurities, your limits, your needs, your imperfections. But here's the truth. The moment you start protecting your image, you stop improving your character. And eventually, the gap becomes unsustainable. So the shift is you need to move from image to integrity. So again, ask yourself, does my private character match my public reputation? If the answer is no, well, that's the place to start. Here's the part you'll love though, the tactable, actionable system. I call it stop, see, shift, steward. Stop, interrupt the autopilot. When you feel pressure rising, pause and ask, what am I trying to prove right now? You can't fix what you can't see. Stopping breaks the cycle. 2, see, name what's actually happening internally. Say it clearly. I'm performing for approval. I'm afraid of disappointing someone. I'm comparing myself to someone who isn't living the life I want. Truth will then set direction. 3, shift, reframe toward purpose and character. Ask yourself again, what choice right now aligns with the person I'm becoming? Not the person people expect, not the person your ego wants you to be, the person you're becoming. This is where identity truly changes. And finally, steward. Act in alignment consistently. Stewardship is the antidote to performance identity. Where performance says, earn your worth. Stewardship says, honor what you've been given. Stewardship builds character, it builds your peace, internal stability, emotional maturity, purpose, freedom, and ultimately, character sustains what achievement can only start. Here's the truth. Rockefeller discovered, and the truth most people never confront. Achievement may create opportunities, but only character sustains them. Performance may build reputation, but only alignment builds identity. Success may start the story, but character determines the ending. So my question for you is simple but confronting. Where in my life am I performing instead of becoming? Let it sit, let it guide you, let it free you. Where in my life am I performing instead of becoming? Because the moment you stop performing for identity, you finally get to live from it. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who needs it, and keep making the small deposits that build a meaningful life.